If I asked you what Robert De Niro's best action movie is, you'd probably say Heat, right? Well, I have a contender. A 90s thriller that went under the radar by a director who needed to prove people wrong one last time. And this one has got a killer car chase in it. Ronin.
David Cage, Ronin. Master the Samurai. Nice. My kind of job.
Director John Frankenheimer was a legend of cinema, having directed Grand Prix, The Train, and The Manchurian Candidate. He had fully established himself as a master of cinematic action. Yeah, since the 80s, he'd been making dud after dud, and his most recent picture, The Island of Dr. Moreau, was a production nightmare and a box office failure. He was edging close to the end of his career, and needed to show the younger generation that he wasn't just a has-been. That's when a script by an unknown writer was thrown across his desk. Ronin. The story follows ex-Cold War spies roaming a post-Cold War world, looking for work. Similar to Ronin in samurai culture, they serve no master and go from job to job, offering their skills as mercenaries. We follow Sam, an ex-US intelligence agent who is hired by an IRA operative, Deirdre, along with another American, a Frenchman, an Englishman, and a German, to attack a heavily armed convoy and steal a briefcase.
This is what we're after. We need to take it intact from several men who will be intent on preventing us.
What's in the case?
Our plan, in the broad strokes, is an ambush.
The contents are unknown. The only thing we know is that it's wanted by both the Irish and the Russians. Loyalties are tested.
Gregor, are you all right?
Gregor's fine, but I think you're in a wee spot of trouble.
And what was seemingly an in-and-out heist movie turns into a backstabbing game of cat and mouse. The film is full of great action sequences that propel the story forward. But what makes these scenes so enjoyable, as well as the film in itself, are the characters. Our lead Sam is truly a smart character, one that we rarely see in action movies today. We trust him, as he's constantly questioning his surroundings.
You aren't going in there.
Yeah, I'm going in there. So are you.
Why am I going in there?
The people he's working with.
My people know them.
Your people have done business with them before, or these people just gave your people a number?
And the risks of the job.
You worried about saving your own skin?
Yeah, I am. Covers my body.
The original script by J.D. Zeik was much lighter, and when Frankenheimer managed to bring De Niro in, he knew he had to beef it up.
He was perfect for what I wanted as Sam and what Frank wanted as Sam. And we went out of our way to try and convince him to do it, and I'm so glad we did.
He was at the time just off the coattails of Casino, Heat, and Jackie Brown, purely in his element. He hired acclaimed playwright David Mamet, writer of Glengarry Glen Ross, The Untouchables, and The Verdict, to achieve this. Mamet makes Sam witty, smart, and observant. He brings a level of dialogue for De Niro to play around with that is just so unmatched.
How'd they finally get to you?
They gave me a grasshopper.
What's a grasshopper?
See, it's 2-part gin, 2-part brandy, 1 part creme de menthe. Nonsense.
Every line used lands like a bullet, making the character not just some one-off spy, but arguably one of the best characters De Niro has ever played on screen. And for the characters that De Niro would work with, the cast just gets more stacked, with Jean Reno as Vincent, the charming French gunman, Sean Bean as Spence, the naive British Special Forces thug, Stellan Skarsgård as Gregor, the German computer scientist, and Jonathan Pryce and Natasha McElhone as the rogue IRA operatives planning the schemes. The film is a time capsule of 90s action, with post-Cold War tensions, smart character-driven action, a wonderfully crafted script, and of course, a killer car chase. And man, this one's good.
And John, I'll start with you first of all. The car chases. This is the car chase of car chases. How in the world did you get some of those shots?
Bully à côté, c'est un truc pour enfants.
If Ronin is remembered for one thing, it's the car chases, and for good reason. They're unreal. Think of any car chase in Paris, and it's probably inspired by Ronin. And why are these chases so good? Because they're all in camera. All real.
These actors were very brave because they were all in the cars, going at that speed. I mean, there's no simulated stuff in it. That really gives the scenes the reality that you want. I mean, the fact that the actors are actually in the cars going at the speed that they're going at. There's no faking, there's no undercranking, there's no computers, nothing. I mean, it really happens.
The dedication to realism seems very dangerous, but luckily for Frankenheimer, he wasn't a stranger to this type of stunt work.
Of course, I did Grand Prix, and kind of went to school there on how to do this.
In 1966, Monaco was the location for one of the most elaborate race car movies ever made. Because of his passion for the sport, the young American director insisted no special effects shots would be used. Instead, all the car action would be shot for real.
So Ronin was nothing new for Frankenheimer. Instead of stunt drivers, who drive cars for cameras and shots, Frankenheimer wanted even more authenticity. He fired a stunt team and hired race drivers to bring speed and intensity to both the car chases.
An elite group of drivers was assembled to tackle the breathtaking stunt work required for the film, headed up by race driver Jean-Claude Lanier.
J'ai gagné les 24 heures du Mans, 1997, en Porsche GT2.
The two car chases come at pivotal moments in the story. The first is when the group's ambush fails in Nice, and the second is when Sam is betrayed in Paris. Therefore, Jean-Claude had to make sure that these chases not only stood out, but were immersive. Compared to modern car chases, even the good ones, you know that some of the things in frame aren't there. For instance, the Paris car chase in The Bourne Identity. It's objectively great, but because of Doug Liman's style, they can quite easily hide stunts and real speed in quick cuts, editing and close-ups. But in Ronin, the actors are actually in the cars, with each car having a custom-made seat at the back for the stunt driver.
It doesn't give you confidence when you have somebody driving in your back. I prefer to drive myself, of course.
Meaning for shots like these, the actors are really getting thrown around at 125 miles an hour, and you can tell. There's nothing fancy and slick about these car chases. They're in relatively normal cars, BMWs, Peugeots, Mercs. These lend themselves to realism again. The cars are not perfectly flowing through traffic, they're struggling to stay on the road. The handbrakes are not used for perfect drifts, but for stopping as quick as possible when missing a turn. The whole thing is hard work, like a real car chase. What elevates it though, is the immersion. For the first 4 minutes of the Paris chase, Frankenheimer doesn't use any music, leaning on every rev, gear change and collision to drive the action. Modern car chases will have a needle drop to drive the action, but in Ronin, there's no need. Remember me talking about Bourne Identity? What drives the whole chase in that is the music. Liman chooses to use dance classic Ready Steady Go to provide the energy to the scene, and to be fair to him, it works. But it makes the whole event feel distant. Ronin's focus on roaring engines, on the other hand, makes you hold your breath.
Now, though the action is familiar, it is director John Frankenheimer who displays his old form in leaving us enough time amid the action to enjoy the characters' maneuvering and the overall trickery of this story. This adventure works not only because of the strong cast. I like Ronin.
In an article released in The Guardian in 1998, titled My Not So Brilliant Career, Frankenheimer writes on how before Ronin, he had been in a serious low, both in his career and personally. He knew that he had to make the next one count and finally make a successful commercial movie again. And Ronin was that chance. In it, he writes, "I felt as if every decision I made was the right one. Among them, getting Bob De Niro to star and David Mamet to rewrite the script. I also directed my first car chase since Grand Prix in 1966. The technique was just the same, lots of low audience participation shots, and no digital enhancement. All of these elements that came together are what makes this film timeless. A great screenwriter, a great actor, and a man who knows how to direct a good car chase. Maybe that's why Ronin still feels sharper than chase scenes with 10 times its budget. It's the last rule of an old school craftsman showing everyone how it's supposed to be done. A swan song for John Frankenheimer. Anyway, this is what I do between jobs. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, it really helps me out. And thank you very much for watching.